But Dr. Seth, many people are going to come around and say that why don't you, trust your expert committee? Why are you not trusting your people who are giving approval? Why are you not trusting your government? As an expert in the field, what do you say to these people?
But if I ask for any new fund, they'll say on what basis we should give it. Don't they trust me? You understand it? Trust is one thing. That's why they consider me as a scientist. Unless they see what I want to do or what I have produced in writing, in publication, only then they will.
All right, so two Indian vaccines have finally gotten emergency use approval by the DCGI and the regulatory authority in India. To talk about the vaccines per se and the questions and concerns that have been raised around vaccines, I'm being joined by Dr. Pradeep Seth. He's a renowned virologist. Dr. Seth, thank you very much for taking time out. I want to first begin by asking the most important question, and which is, we know that Covaxin along with Covishield has been given emergency use approval. Sir. The efficiency of Covishield, or efficacy rather of Covishield, is 70%, but we do not know the efficacy of Covaxin. Is that a cause of concern?
Regarding Covaxin, let me first start with Covaxin since you asked this particular thing. I'll then talk about Covishield. Covaxin, definitely yes. That's it, because nothing is available on public domain neither, although Dr. Ella claimed in newspaper today that there are 5 published papers. I have searched PubNet. There's not a single paper I found, only except for some newspapers like Hindu or Times of India or Hindustan Times and Indian Express and all these newspapers, and there's print like they print and all that, but nothing in scientific peer-reviewed journals I found anything. The data have to be there in regarding safety as well as even if for first and second phase. Although I have got the same concern as another virologist from India, some other virologists of India have raised the same concern that without these data, it's very difficult to say. They have been given a phase 3 permission by our drug controller recently for trying recently means in November, but that will take some time. So unless we see the data, it is definitely a cause of concern. And regarding safety and whatever it is, yes, definitely yes.
Okay, I want to talk about
first thing. Another question: how will they arise that first, or whether it requires single dose or 2 dose? Because no doubt they have tried a very old technique, which has now nobody uses. As a matter of fact, that is a whole virus genome, which is inactivated genome for raising the for immunity. But that was tried, in subunit vaccine, etc., or you use a carrier for that. And whatever they have done in a hurry. They should have done something more than that. Anyway, that's it. That's their concern. But that's one thing. My own about inactivated vaccine, although the science has progressed since 1956, when poliovirus vaccine, Jonas Salk vaccine was tried. That was a big thing in 1956 when polio was controlled, a big epidemic. And that one batch of poliovirus vaccine, that was inactivated vaccine, live inactivated, that caused lot of, that was not properly inactivated in a lot of children developed poliomyelitis. And that caused Dr. Jonas not only his Nobel Prize, but also his reputation. Right. Anyway, that's a big thing. But but science has progressed since then, but still there are better use, better techniques for vaccine development. Anyway, that's a different question.
Dr. Seth, I also want to talk about the trial study, because we know that the phase 3 is underway for Covaxin. However, there is no data in public domain, sir. How do you read that? I mean, should that be worrying us, or should we be believing what the government has to say?
See, that I do not know why, on what basis the government has approved. I have not seen those things, those papers. The government committee is definitely a powerful committee who are the members. I know a couple of them, but On what basis did they approve? I do not know. I do not know. I'm a little confused on this issue. But since there's no data available, I will be thinking twice before I take this particular vaccine.
Okay, and they're calling it an experimental drug, sir. The information that we've received so far, they're saying it's an experimental drug, although the emergency approval has now been given. To a lot of people who are currently looking at the emergency approval and worrying whether they should be taking the vaccine, I want to know from you, what does it mean for a drug to be under experiment or an experimental drug, and how safe is it for usage?
See, experimental drugs, whenever you use such emergency use, it is used under the circumstances when still the entire data have to be procured or developed. It's still in that particular phase. Emergency means because of current situation is so it's very pressing, because the situation is pandemic situation or any other situation which occurs. You have to allow such medicines to be used. For example, penicillin was allowed in Second World War. Soon after its discovery, it was allowed. It was still under development. It was experimental drug, but it was allowed to control the infections. So this is one of the things. So you use such vaccines or medicines for this particular thing. However, they must have seen some of the safety data which is not revealed. The committee must have seen some safety data, which those data have not been revealed in public domain. But still, definitely, it's a cause of concern.
But sir, I want to understand from you, you have been a part of the vaccine development process. I remember when I spoke to you in July, you said you are working actively on the vaccine, India's indigenous vaccine. We have one now. And, the kind of hurry that we have seen in approval, in your own words, the hurry that we have seen in approval, does that mean somewhere that the science has been undercut? Are you worried that the science has been undercut, or are you confident that all the parameters were taken into account by the committee before giving the approval?
Now, see, science, the usual development of vaccine takes about 5 to 7 years. Because see, I have that experience because I have developed HIV vaccine. I started working way back in 2000, and the entire work took 4 to 5 years, and working 13 students with me on development of HIV vaccine. But it's that was like the experimental work, experimental in mice and experimental in monkeys. And that took 5 years, and thereafter we have to do the clinical study. Still under that particular process, it takes that much of time. Here, because of that love, they must have cut short the entire thing because we needed this experiment. So that is why it is known as emergency use. You understand it? That's why emergency use. Yes, definitely some of the data should have been released, at least on the phase 1 study or whatever it is, whatever experimental they have done, they should have studied, they should have released it, or they should have published it. There's nothing available. You have data on Moderna, you have data on Pfizer, you have some data on AstraZeneca, which is your Covishield, and also some of the DNA vaccines which are available on on public domain, like PubMed and others. But there's nothing about Covaxin.
So, doctor, what should have been done? What should have been the ideal recourse taken by
some data should have been released by the company. They should not put everything close to their chest. That raises suspicion. There's nothing. Science is like an open river. It should be open to everybody. I'm telling you, my HIV vaccine is still under development. I have got 7 or 8 papers already in the international journals on that particular vaccine. You understand it? Why should you hide anything? This is what my concern about this particular vaccine.
And doctor, since the approval, we have seen different statements coming in from the chiefs of Serum Institute. Bharat Biotech has given another statement. DCGI has given. So everybody's given different sort of statements, and we are seeing a war of words literally between the Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech at the moment.
That's a commercial this thing. I'm not going to that's between two commercial giants. What they are leveling charges against each other is none of my business. I do not know. But that is one thing which is, of course, I'm not. But uh, DCGI should also have released some of the data. He should have should have said. But what is the first thing I always say, that the company should have released some of the data on net, on public domain. Should have, to win the confidence of people. See, and unless when you buy a drug, you always see its literature, everything, what has been published about it. Anybody, but there's nothing available. Even for a headache, if you have to take, you will take an established medicine, or some, if any new medicine comes in, you always ask some of the experts on that. So this is what I'm saying, that they should have released some data. They should have, definitely.
Okay. Doctor, has there been a precedent in this regard? Has there ever been an approval given to a vaccine when this testing was still on? Has it ever happened before?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Because such a situation has never. I have seen this pandemic. There was one pandemic earlier, but never of this scale. I mean, frankly speaking, I was not born in 1918. I cannot say, but this is the only pandemic which has shaken the world. But definitely, it's a different scenario than other.
Okay.
It's a different scenario.
Right, absolutely. So we understand the need for a vaccine at the earliest.
Exactly. We need to have a good vaccine.
And I think we all agree that we need a vaccine at the earliest. But what we do not need is a vaccine that people do not trust.
They should have. The thing is, you always develop a trust when there's something available in writing. You understand it? Why company is not releasing, that's the whole thing. At least Covishield has released the data, even if it is tried in England. The different now scientific aspects, I can discuss the scientific aspects in that. That's a different thing. But the data are available in literature and you can read it. And Pfizer has also released the data. What happened what particular side effects appeared in vaccines. Pfizer has released that. So that type of what do you call it? I will not say only that type of clear publication. That type of attitude should be there of the company. Honesty.
Doctor, you may choose not to comment on it, but many are calling this vaccine nationalism. We know that the Prime Minister promised that there will be a vaccine by 14th of August.
Definitely.
There wasn't any.
I support Prime Minister on this. Yes, we need a vaccine. India has got largest population of scientists. And why we cannot produce a good vaccine? What these scientists are doing? See, I'm 78 years old now, but if I'm given chance, definitely, if I'm given money, I'll develop a vaccine. No doubt, there are methods to do it. But that's one thing, and that's exactly what Prime Minister relies on that. When we can produce good satellites, good atom bomb, do everything, why can't we have a good vaccine? We always thump our chest, we are the best in the world as far as the medical scientists. But why can't we work towards a good vaccine?
But Dr. Seth, many people are going to come around and say that why don't you trust your expert committee? Why are you not trusting your people who are giving approval? Why are you not trusting your government? As an expert in the field, what do you say to these people?
See, when I ask for any funds or anything, they'd say, yes, we trust you, but on what basis we can give you these funds? You understand? We have to apply for certain projects. I have been given projects since my start in the career in 1975. Until my retirement, I've been given plenty of funds by the government agencies, even after that. But if I ask for any new fund, they'll say on what basis we should give it. Don't they trust me? You understand it? Trust is one thing. That's why they consider me as a scientist. Unless they see what I want to do or what I have produced in writing, in publication, only then they will. Whenever I apply for project, they always write it. What are your current publications? Why do they ask me? Don't they trust me that I'm a good scientist? You understand it? What are your good publications last 5 years? They always ask me, but then, I say I have none. So they say you are outdated. How can it do? Don't they trust me? So this is exactly you. I want something in writing. That's exactly when you have any drug, you have got data, you have got a paper which suggests what it is. You cannot sell a drug without without those information. So this is exactly public wants to see what it is. I, as a scientist, want to see that, and every scientist, the doctor, there are so many. Gagandeep Kang wants to see the same thing. Everybody wants to see the same thing. See, I'm not questioning AstraZeneca, your Covishield. I'll not see. See if they published, for example, the Zydus is also producing any vaccine. There is a DNA vaccine. I'm not going to question them till they once they publish it. Yes, I'll see what type of vaccine it is. Johnson and Johnson has produced a DNA vaccine, and I have seen the data. Harvard University has published a vaccine on DNA vaccine. Pfizer has published it. Nobody questions them. Whether you take it or you don't take it, because there are pros and cons in that particular thing. Okay, fine. But that's a different thing. But if you don't publish anything that, no, I will not show you the data, but you trust me. But that's not correct.
Okay. So, Dr. Seth, before I let you go, I do want to ask you, what's the way forward? We know emergency use approval has been given. What is your expectation from Bharat Biotech at the moment and the government of India?
See, I'm not so only Bharat Biotech, I think all the companies. Even Serum Institute has to publish their data. They should not rely only on data based on UK study. They should do the study here and publish it. They have not yet. Serum Institute also is reaping its whatever it is, reaping the harvest based on their data. I'll give you one small example. Early 2004 onward, 2005 onwards, there was HIV vaccine made in same AD5, your adenovirus 5 vector, which was tried in India by ICMR and Ministry of Health and everybody, and it was tried in India under the auspices of Nari in Pune. It was a complete failure. Although it was a good vaccine supposed to be, because 90% of Indian population has got adenovirus antibodies. So it hampers with the expression of the carrier antigen. That's what they said. But I do not know much about this. But that's why I think they should do some experiments in India, see what type of antibodies does it produce. But
And
my views are, my views are very frank, and I really want that the committee should must have seen something, but they should come out openly. You understand that they should come out openly. The committee, definitely the members are all experts, all knowledgeable, everyone, and the chairman of the committee is very knowledgeable. Everybody, but they should come out. They should definitely ask the company to make the information in public domain. That's it.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.